You are still logged on to your number one station, AWR Adventist World Radio, Seed Media. It is still the After Sabbath experience right here with your man. My name is MALVERN MAKICHI. And right now, it is that segment that I did talk about. This is the segment that we call Movers and Shakers. Movers and Shakers. Well, on this program, we're going to be talking to young, successful people. Well, maybe not so young sometimes, but mainly young people who are doing something, be it sport, be it business, be it anything, ministry, whatever that we might deem success in this life. Well, should we say those who are making an influence in society? I think that makes that sounds better. Okay, so those are the people that we're going to be talking about. And today, I do have a man whom I personally think is making an influence, making an impact in society. For those of you who are tuned in earlier on, he's a man whom we were discussing with on the program Success 101, and I just thought maybe this is a special platform where we get to know the man who's going to be telling us about success. Well, this guy, in case you were not yet tuned in, this is the man Enerst Muvhunzi. Enerst, welcome back again.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for having me.
All right, so Enerst Muvhunzi, well, maybe especially those who were logged on to the station earlier on, powerful points, we're talking about success. So somebody might just be wondering, who's this boy? Like, who is he? I mean, he's speaking such profound words and with such vigor, with such confidence. But people want to know who's behind. What's the story behind this guy? Who is this guy?
All right, thank you, Mr. Makichi. So Enerst Muvhunzi is a young man, mover and shaker, and by the way, that was a powerful introduction. Now, I was now shaken. The moving part is okay, but I'm like,
shaking.
Yeah, like if I shook the world yet so far, but I'm happy you see that light in me, and I appreciate that. So Enerst Muvhunzi, young man, not so young, married.
Yeah, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much. And for me, I think just like what Steve Jobs said, my story makes sense when I'm now connecting the dots going backward.
Oh.
And which is something that I wish for anyone and everyone who's listening right now. Sometimes we sit and we look at our lives and we see no direction. We can make sense of whatever is happening.
True.
Yeah,
very true.
But sometimes we have to look back at some things. Sometimes you see the people, like the relationship, just like, for example, like I would like to say, like me and you come from way back when I was still a boy, like, and you saw the light in me and you nurtured me, like, and right now I'm here and I'm now on your show. I'm talking to you, right?
Dude, so I'm humbled.
Thank you so much. Like the whole should know that,
yeah,
man. Like for everything that I'm going to say today, like it's a part of me, but it's also a lot of people who have been in this whole thing with me, who've nurtured me, who've mentored me, who've just like held my hand along the way, right?
Wow.
So I am creative consultant. Like it's a term that was coined not so long ago, but by creatives who tend to do quite a lot in the creative industry. So I'm into photography. I'm into filming, graphic designing, branding, be it digital branding, personal branding. So that's pretty much who I am and what I do. But maybe just as a backstory, where I come from.
That's exactly what I want to hear, because I want you to take me from the start, where this boy came from. Like, yeah, that part. Yeah, take me back, way back.
Way back.
Yeah, before you even knew the term creative consultant exists. Yeah, that's how far back I want you to take me right now.
I hope you guys are ready for it, right? Just was, man, I come from way back, and for whoever is listening right now who don't have their future in check right now, trust me, I've been there. A place where I had dreams, I had goals, but I pretty much didn't see really where I was going. That's why I said earlier that some things make sense when we're going backward. So I grew up in Zarasekwa, Harare, Zimbabwe. That's where I grew up from. Went to is it a community school? I would call them community schools.
Government school.
Government school. Thank you, thank you. In primary, which is from grade 1 to grade 7. Then from my form 1-ish, I wasn't around. I had gone to a school. Then things went south. Family issues. Then I came back again at a government school. That's form 2, right? Moved in the ranks, moved in leadership. Thank God for that. By the way, if you're a Christian and you really believe in God, and you pray for God's purpose to be made manifest in you, things can happen. I'm telling you this from a perspective of someone who grew up without many answers, but who really saw God show up and show off. Right. So I got into leadership. I was into public speaking. I was into debate. I was into quiz. So that again nurtured me into being the kind of person who's a bit vocal, who's a bit pronounced in expressing what I want, getting clients, expressing be it a business idea, pitching, and all those things. Again, as a footnote to whoever is listening. So I'll be trying. I hope it's allowed. I'll be trying to tie my story to whoever is listening.
Which is okay.
If it's okay.
Which is okay.
All right. So you might be listening right now and you don't make sense of whatever is happening. Those small things that God is making you pass through are your lessons and are your nuggets to success.
All right. You seem to be very, very conscious. What should I say or should I say you seem to be a guy who wants to teach and to motivate and. Wow, that's why you keep telling, if you are doing this, if you, okay, I like that about you.
Thank you.
I want to know something before we go any further. Tell me a bit about family. What kind of family were you brought up in?
All right. I grew up in a very humble family. Humble beginnings, humble family. My father was a policeman. My mom, she's still alive, thank God. My father passed when I was grade 6, which is. Grade 6 is maybe 11 years in Zimbabwe. That's when my father passed. But we had a very cool family. We grew up in a police camp.
All right.
And it was a bit authoritarian.
Oh.
In a way, but I loved it that way.
All right.
So we grew up in a family which nurtured values, and authority was a thing.
Oh, is it?
So which means principles were a thing. Straight paths were a thing. I think that's why I consciously say some stuff okay, if you're doing this,
right.
This was that's how I grew up. I think my father really put that in me.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Then I'm the only boy. I'm the only guy in a family with 2 sisters.
All right.
Right. So after my dad passed, so it was my mother and my 2 sisters and me.
All right.
That really, really made me grow up so fast.
Is it?
It manned me up, if that's a word. It made me see life from a different vantage point. It made me realize some of the things that I thought were privileges, that they were not really privileges.
Is it?
Yeah, and it's good. And again, it's a keynote, man. It's put it down. Some losses are for advantage.
Is it?
I'm telling you this.
So I guess maybe in this case you're talking about maybe you lost your dad
Exactly.
when you're very, very young.
Yeah.
So how does that that become an advantage? Because there could be a young man out there listening who's also probably just lost his mom, his dad, his pillar of strength, and then they're hearing this guy saying some losses are for an advantage, and dude, what are you talking about? I've just lost my mom. I've just lost my uncle. I've just lost that person that I depended on. What do you mean by that?
All right. Let me say this. Troubles and heartaches are not a gift set aside for the poor.
Another punchline.
It's not a given that when you're poor, you should hold on to hate. No. These things call upon the best in us. And by the way, what happens to every one of us. But what we do with what happens now, that sets us apart.
Yeah, no, that's profound.
Right. So someone listening may be saying I'm saying something so remorseful, but I without remorse. But when you lose someone who's so dear to you, right? Like, it's now time for you to step out and represent that person in the world.
Now that's
Just was there, gone.
I don't know how many times I've said powerful, but that one has touched me. I mean, you have to represent that person.
Exactly.
You lost your mom. You are that young lady. Why don't you just represent those values that she had?
Exactly.
That image. You know, not just the image, but the values, the person that she was, and then carry it forward to the next generation.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
You know, legacy is not only money. Legacy is not only money. I will say this again. Legacy is not only money. We've been told that what you can only leave to your kids is money. No. So when I lost my father, he didn't leave so much money, but what he left in me was responsibility. I realized that I had to now start doing some things for the family that another kid would say that was abuse. So my dad was an avid reader. He was an avid reader, like, and he would buy newspapers like every day. When it paused, like we ran short of money, and the first thing that I started selling were old newspapers. I was selling them to market ladies so that they could wrap their. I think if you are listening from Africa, you can make sense of this. they could wrap their tomatoes or exactly their merchandise.
Exactly.
So I made a business out of that.
Oh, is it?
So to someone who's just lost their loved one, it's now time for you to wake up from that reality, right? The hurt, I'm really sorry for that. The hurt is for all of us, but how you take that hurt and take it to your advantage. Like, if they could see, right? It's not biblical, but like this is what the world says. But yeah, if like you contextualize it, if your parents could see you, they should be proud of you.
Of the person that you've become.
Exactly.
Okay, now
so yeah, sure.
That's profound. You know, there's a lot that we could say about that subject only. You know what I mean? Because I personally, I lost my dad at an early age as well, so I can relate to most of the things that you're talking about. You see, so okay, so let's go back. Let's not forget that we're talking to the mover and shaker right here, and I'm just trying to get the background story. And of course, already seeing where the root is. You know, that hustling, that drive, where it's coming from. You see, so take me to your days in school. Now you're growing up, grade 6. You lost your dad. You're still in school. What was your dream growing up? Like, what is it that you wanted to do? Did you see yourself as a creative consultant, or you saw yourself as something totally different? What is it that you wanted to be, you know, as a kid growing up, going through school?
I wanted to be a policeman.
Oh, okay. Just like daddy.
I just like my dad, man. Like, you know, you rock the uniform and man, you just you know that pistol thing, you know,
Alright.
the put like empty pistol without the magazine in it. Like, I would envy my dad. But as I grew up, now after he passed, right? Like I had no, I would say, role model. So like the policeman in me died.
Oh, is it?
Just because the physical one that I would see growing up had died. Right. So what I would think about every day is I always wanted to be someone. Like this statement again, if you're listening from Africa, this makes sense. Like in Shona they say I wanted to be someone who's well up.
Someone better.
Someone, exactly.
Yeah, all right. A somebody.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to be a somebody.
All right.
But to tie down to what I really wanted, like, I didn't know. This was like, and mind you, this is a boy who's just lost a dad who was providing for the family, right? So at that point in time, I wanted to be somebody, and my definition of somebody was someone who would take care of the family, who could just do anything that the family would survive, right? So the question again, what did I want to be? So that made me the person that I am today. And like, remember I said, it makes sense going backwards. Just because from the time that I got employed, and by the way, my first employment I was 16.
16 years?
16 years of age.
All right.
Atypical of working class. This was like school age. I was in Form 4, long holiday after I finished my first set of public exams.
All right.
Right. So after that, I think I morphed into maybe 5-6 different kind of jobs until I stumbled upon this person who's speaking to you right now. And again, you might want to put it down if you're writing notes. Sometimes you can stumble upon your success.
Stumble.
Exactly. You can stumble upon your success, but you know what? Those who stumble are those who are walking.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So you gotta keep moving.
Exactly. Keep moving.
All right.
You don't know where you want to go. You don't know who you're gonna be, what you're gonna be, when you're gonna be that. But just keep moving.
Mm.
And when you keep moving, you stumble upon it.
All right. So you wanted to be somebody.
Exactly.
All right.
Plain old somebody.
Plain old somebody. All right. So, you spoke about getting a job just after your first public examinations. That's we call it Form 4 ordinary level in right here in Zim. I don't know what you call it in other parts of the world. All right. So is it grade 11 in some countries? Yeah, something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. So how now did you now start navigating? Oh, by the way, did you go to college?
Oh, that's another story. So, I go to that job 16.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for these guys called Count and Company. I really appreciate them. They were lawyers. They were law firm, and someone who had studied law. All I could do was to be a debt collector. So, like, I got into the system. I was doing debt collection, and they kind of promoted me. I was now a mailing officer. So I was the guy who writes letters to people who are owing. I think that's when I learned that don't go around borrowing.
All right, major lesson right there.
Major lesson: don't go around borrowing.
Mm.
Make the best use of what you have.
Mm.
Don't borrow to feed a lifestyle that you can afford.
Mm. I guess you saw it firsthand, didn't it?
I really did. People live lavish lives out there with borrowed money. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So I moved from those guys. I go back to school now. That's now A level. I finish my A level. Then I go to a promotional company. They do outdoor activations. They were doing that time. Their biggest contract was Unilever. So I go there, and I'm that guy. Again, if you're listening from Africa, and if you're listening from around the world, you might have seen it. So I'm that guy who was dancing. So like we call them road shows here in Zim, right?
Oh, okay.
So you are dancing, and there's on stage
A moving truck.
a moving truck
Right,
and
yeah.
the moving advertisement, and you're calling people, come and buy this, come and buy this. So like I'm now there. Then my boss then sees me, like we're talking. It's like, your English is quite good. I'm like, thank God. Like they moved me to the shop.
Oh, is
So
it?
by then, now when I moved to the shop, I moved from activating sunlight to activating it was a spread stock like the margarine.
All right.
So I was working by the fridges.
Oh, okay.
So like the people would come to service the fridges, would talk. I'm someone who talks. I think I don't know how much time we've covered so far, but I think by now you might have realized that this guy talks, right? Yeah. So I'm conversing with this guy. So how do you do this, and what program did you study? Then I got so interested in refrigeration and air conditioning. I went to school for that.
Is it?
I started doing refrigeration and air conditioning. I did my diploma. I finished whilst I'm still working.
All right.
Again, to someone who's listening right now, don't just rush into quitting your 8 to 5.
Mm.
If you want to quit your 8 to 5, make sure you have built yourself a foundation, build yourself a base, then you move on. Don't leave your job just running wild like you're a stallion, you're a wild horse. No. So there are things that we really do sometimes that we lose track of. So by that time, I focus on doing refrigeration. Then I go there. Then I finish my school. Fast forward time, I get a job by afters as a refrigeration technician. I'm working there. I save some money for college. I go to college. Now that's when this creative thing started. Now.
Is it?
Yeah, that.
What happened after that?
So after that, I go to college. I enroll to study IT. So I'm studying IT, following my passion. By then, like, I'd fallen again in love with graphic designing, which is also something that I'm still doing up to now. I think it's now six or 5 years into the industry. So I enroll to pursue a degree in IT, information technology. But something strange happens when I'm at school. I befriend the lecturer who was teaching graphic designing. I'm still doing my IT stuff on the side, but my very close friend, quite an older guy at that time, he was not my age, like he sells this whole designing thing to me, and I fall in love with it. I'm like, wow, designing. So are you telling me that I could start creating posters, flyers? She's like, yes. I'm like, wow, man, why didn't you tell me? I'm now thinking of dropping out on the IT thing.
You're intrigued.
Exactly. So it's surprisingly enough, the guy gets a job, right? But he's still a lecturer.
All right.
And he's like, man, for me to leave this job, I have to find a replacement. Can you teach graphic design? I'm like, man, I haven't been a designer in my life. He's like, man, can you just get this for me? So I take it as a favor for a guy.
Oh, okay.
So during the night, I'm on YouTube learning, eyes out
about designing.
Exactly. In the morning, I'm teaching a class. So that goes on for long, and slowly, I'm grasping the concept.
All right.
Right. And 6 months down the line, then I then sit for the same exams as the kids. Then I pass.
Oh, okay. So you sit for an exam with the kids that you were teaching.
It sounds so crazy and sounds like a made-up story, but that's my story.
Jeez, man.
Then I'm there. Then, like, now I'm a full-fledged teacher. I'm a full-fledged teacher who has a diploma.
Qualifications.
Exactly.
All right.
So, the scope is expanding bit by bit. I get introduced to a guy who was by the National Gallery. I send him my portfolio. So hi, big brother Mkoma. I used to call him Mkoma, which is big brother. I'm Mkoma. So this is my portfolio. He falls in love with my work and he invites me for an interview by the National Gallery of Zimbabwe.
Is it?
Then I go there. I get a job. Now I'm in a dilemma. Should I go to this job in Harare? I was staying in Shtungiza then. It's a remote town. Like the big city life then drew me. I come back to Harare. I started working for the gallery. Then I leave my class in charge with another student that I was now mentoring again. So it's more like a mentorship system.
Okay.
Again, as a note, if you're good at something, be a kingmaker. You can't be ruling all the spaces alone. Like, you have someone that you teach your skills. One day, you thank me.
Be a kingmaker. Wow. So you are by the art gallery. Our time seems to be a bit jealous. This is an interesting story, and in case you're wondering, this is still the After Sabbath experience right here on AWR SIDmedia, and this is the segment that we call Movers and Shakers. And today we're talking to the man Enerst Muvhunzi, and he's talking about his life, his journey, and his work. So right now he was talking to us about the time that he was working at the National Art Gallery of Zimbabwe. Now, fast forward. Ernest, I'm only left with a few minutes, about 10 minutes or so. So you finally established what is now known as photoculture films. How did that idea come about?
Okay, so when I was still by the National Gallery, as the main graphic designer and as the main designer, digital, video editing, doing a little bit of photography, like the whole thing kind of got into me slowly. But I'd never thought that I would run a company as big as Photoculture Films today. It's something that it never dawned on me. But I would like to say this: wherever God has placed, wherever you're currently right now, there might be your breakthrough there. That's by the gallery. That's when I realized my creative abilities. So fast forward time, like, we create photoculture. So the main drive for photoculture was to create a real artistic and unfiltered stories.
All right.
And we say, like, there is no better way to tell an African story than telling it from an African perspective.
All right.
You know, our African narrative has been wrongly said, just because it has been said by people who are uncouth about our culture. But as photo culture now, our main drive is to tell the real African story as it is, and our main media is documentaries. So we've managed to grow so huge, and I thank God for that. I think that's really where the moving and the shaking thing is done. Just we've worked for, we've done work for UNESCO.
All right.
Which is UNESCO's. We all know UNESCO. The university of Zimbabwe, like chief of them, University of Zimbabwe. We've also been working with universities out of Zimbabwe, University of Lesotho. Again, we've also been working with the University of Edinburgh in the UK. Among other brands that we've worked with in Zimbabwe, we also work with Young Africa, a multinational college system. So because of just following your dream, tracing each and every success, tracing each and every God-given opportunity, we have come to where we are. But it hasn't been easy. But it has been God, and it has been a conscious mind that sees the little pointers that God puts in front of you, and you follow them, and we are here today.
All right. So I like the fact that you are seeing the hand of God in your work and in your life. Of course, you are a man who's a church elder, and then okay, pardon me for asking this, but I'm thinking I've seen most of your work, and most of the time you work with a lot of people, and among them women, or should I say young women. You are a young guy who's just recently married. You see, is a lot of people view, let's say, especially when you're doing photography, the photography side of your work, a lot of people don't really see that as Christian. Does that affect you? You know, and do people talk about you? You know, you're an Adventist, but then you do photography or the concept photography. You know how it is. I mean, does that affect you? Does you being an Adventist affect your work in a way?
Okay. People say a lot of things. Like, I think that's what people are just like, you know, I think that's the main use of the mouth. So
talking.
Yeah, talking. And you can put a bar on that. But like, before I answer your question, right? You know, I want to take you back in time. You know, it's just some money issues are going on. There's Jesus and there's Peter. Right? Peter the fisherman. You know, some tax is supposed to be paid. Then Jesus tells Peter that you go and catch some fish, and the first fish that you catch, right, you open its mouth and you're gonna get some money there, right? Peter was a fisherman. There is nothing Christian about being a fisherman, right? But Jesus worked with Peter the fisherman to get some resources from what he knew best.
Okay.
Right? And Peter was not only selling fish to the Christians then, they were not called Christians by then, right? If I'm not mistaken. Like, right? The church then. So I don't think any profession should buy you from going straight to God.
Oh, okay.
Really. Just because use your profession to the maximum ability. Just because the profession is me, right? The Christian in me, like, can be used by God. Like, recently we've seen the power, the power of the digital media. Photographers capturing excellent work during the COVID times because of their work. So discrimination, people say like photography, like, it's not Christian, but in the recent times we've seen how powerful it is. So if Jesus could work with a fisherman, right, who sells fish to whoever and whoever wants fish, the heathens, the harlots, the God-knowing people, right? God can also use me, a photographer.
Oh. All right. Okay, I get that. I get that point. Powerful point. We're just about to wrap up our program right here, Enerst. It's been quite something. Enerst Muvhunzi, eish, man, we could talk all day.
We could.
All right. So, in just briefly, in just under a minute, what is the future for Enerst Muvhunzi? What is the future for photoculture for you as a person? And what is it that you think is the future holding for you? What do you want to achieve in the near future?
All right. So where we are going as a brand is we are going to be a multimedia conglomerate. And I say we are going to be.
Okay.
There is power in words.
Oh, and you as a person?
Me as a person, I see myself leading a very, very big brand. And personally, I want to be this God-fearing business person as long as God is still in my life. Just because there's a huge chance of business people wandering away from their values. But I see myself being a global acclaimed business person, a global acclaimed person who is a Christian, who is founded in God, and who is doing very good in business.
Wow. All right. So, hey, man, profound words. Like I said, we could talk all day. It is Movers and Shakers. That's the program, and we had the man. We've been talking to the man Enerst Muvhunzi. He's a okay. I keep forgetting your title.
I'm a creative
consultant. Okay, I keep wanting to go to designer, but creative consultant. And we've been talking to him about his story, about his work, and well, man, it's been something else. If you've just tuned in, you have missed out a whole lot. Anyway, I would like to thank Enerst. Thank you so much for coming through, man.
Thank you, man.
And all the best in business, all the best in family, in everything. And I just hope that the Lord will continue to bless you, man.
Thanks so much, man. I wish the same for you.
Oh, thank you. Anyway, it is still the After Sabbath experience right here on AWR SIDmedia. Right now, let's just get into a piece of music as we wait for the next program that is for the week.